All right. Welcome, everyone, to your City Council meeting for February 28th. If we could have a roll call, Madam Clerk, to establish quorum.
Do we think Bill is actually hearing?
He's on my phone, I believe. Call us now. See.
Bill up?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. Autumn Slane? Not at this time. Nick Roberts will not be here. Absent with notice. Terry McClung.
I'm here.
Ms. Green.
I'm here.
Mr. Meyer.
Yeah.
So we have 4 definites.
All right. If we can stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God,
Indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
You little mate. All right. Get a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
All right. Got any additions or anything we want on? Ms.
Could we
Green?
have a discussion of our mask mandate, please?
Mask mandate. Okay.
I'll second that.
Under unfinished business, item 5. Anything else from anyone?
That'd be new business, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would be new business, I'm sorry. Item number 4. All right. Not hearing anything else, all those in favor of the agenda as amended, signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? I get a motion to approve the minutes for February 14th,
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from February 14th, 2022.
Get a second?
I'll second it.
All right, Ms. Green made the motion, Mr. Myers seconded. Any additions, corrections? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay. Under our commission vacancies, we've got people out there. We need people for the Planning Commission. We've got a vacant seat. Also have a vacancy in the CAPC. We've got a vacancy on the HDC, and we've got a vote for Bryn Marshall for the Parks.
Okay. I'll make a motion that we accept the application for Bryn Marshall for position 1.
I'll second.
All right, any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? All right. That brings us to our public comments. Got 3 minutes per citizen, please, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Susie Allen, and I was coming, I know that we're going to talk about German Alley a little bit later, but
Didn't that state your address, please, ma'am?
11 Cliff Street, and I am here about the property that I own on 12 Cliff. There was another accident this weekend that probably could have been avoided, and I was really thinking, and I have got emails from both the other 2 property owners that are along German Alley, Bart Bauer and Tracy Melsheimer, and they both are in favor of actually closing German Alley from Inman and Bart's driveway below to Cliff Street. Nobody needs to have that access there. We're afraid that even with the one-way up, it'll take too long to get that changed with the GPS, and I do believe it is intimately dangerous right now. And I would ask, too, that no matter what you decide, it gets moved on quickly. I know that the ordinances need several minutes or several meetings in which to get approved, and I would like to please ask to have an emergency reading so that it can get, progress can start on making it much, much safer. And there are other residents here, and if you want, I can show you or bring you the emails that I got from the other 2 property owners that say that they are okay with having German Alley closed down, if at all possible. So that's it for now.
Hi, good evening. My name is Anne Marie Gula. I'm a resident at 1 German Alley. I've been living there for about a year, and I've seen some things. So this past weekend was quite alarming. As Susie had mentioned, there was an accident there. An SUV was perpendicular to the street and got wedged. And then on the following night, on Saturday, a white vehicle was coming down German Alley. The cones had been removed or moved out of the way, and I watched as the car kept going down German Alley. Although he was trying to reverse, he furiously was attempting to reverse and didn't. He was actually going toward the SUV that was stuck there, and I was afraid that the whole thing would just end up in a big collision. I'm not sure if there was additional damage to the SUV, but I know that Susie's property sustained damage from the SUV originally. This appears very dangerous to me for a lot of reasons. If that driver or any driver was in a similar situation and is very impatient to drive back uphill, they could damage any of the houses that are there. So it doesn't seem like it's a really viable way to have a shortcut through the community, and I am also in favor of having a dead end, as Susie had indicated. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Belen Arreola. I live at 14 Cliff Street. So the house directly, I'm directly across from where the vehicle was perpendicular. And I've lived there 3 years, and every winter a vehicle braves the road. And so it is a safety hazard. You know, whether it's made a dead end or a one-way, I think something definitely needs to be done. And also, I'm also a business owner in town, and as a business owner, I'm wondering what we can do as a town to communicate to our guests that GPS is not reliable. I think we heard it several times over the weekend. GPS led them through German Alley or other roads, and I think we need to try and get ahead of it, and maybe communicate somehow that GPS is not reliable in our town. Thank you.
All right, my name is James Wignall. I own a property up on 15 Ethel Street. I also own a business called Jim's Artistic Touch Welding Fabrication, and I'm just here on behalf of the same issue on
Please
German
speak in the
Alley,
microphone. Thank you.
where I've done 3 service calls already this year due to people sliding off the road and hitting her property there in German Alley. I don't know what the solution is, or GPS taking them up there. I just wanted to simply say it's definitely an issue with people coming down that road. There's just no way you can do nothing, and her house is right at the bottom of it. And it's got to be, you know, I mean, the accident today was probably about 2 inches from not catching that rail. If it hadn't caught that rail, that would have been a much worse day today for her. So yeah, I mean, just something's got to be done with it. One way going up, so at least people ain't coming down, something. But yeah, all right, thank you.
Any other public comments? All right, hearing none, then we'll continue on to our new business. Get a motion to discuss the update on vultures.
A motion to discuss the vultures.
Second.
We have Robert Byrd, who's the director of USDA Wildlife Services, here tonight, and I think if the council will get out in front, he's got a brief PowerPoint presentation about vultures that he can tell us about, and then we can open it up for discussion with the council there.
see it, Tim, I'll pull you.
I'm good. I'll just listen. Sorry, I just about took down the whole microphone stand here. Well, thanks for the invitation. As he said, my name is Robert Bird, State Director, small agency called USDA Wildlife Services. Our primary responsibility is anywhere wildlife is causing damage, primarily to property, human health and safety, that kind of stuff. And in Arkansas, vultures are probably our number 2 call that we get. They damage a lot of stuff, as you guys seem to be aware of. It's not just a phenomenon unique to Eureka Springs, but if you can advance the slide, maybe. I probably don't have to tell you what a vulture looks like, but there's two main species, turkey vultures and black vultures. Black vultures, somebody was smart enough, since they're all black, to call them black vultures. And the red-headed bird looked kind of like a turkey, is a turkey vulture. I grew up in southern Missouri, and when I was a kid, we didn't have black vultures. Black vultures have really increased recently. In fact, I remember my first call 15, 20 years ago about black vultures eating weather stripping and windshield wipers off of trucks in a parking lot, and I thought it was a prank call at first, but it's definitely not a prank call at this point. But there are some similarities and some differences between the two birds, but primarily black vultures are the ones we're getting more and more complaints about as their population increases. You can see some of the damage. There's the upper left corner. That's the vulture attacking the windshield wipers and weather stripping on vehicles. The houses, that upper right picture is here in the Ozarks. We get a lot of calls from power companies, manufacturing facilities, that kind of stuff, and industrial areas on vultures as well. Primarily, concern is either the damage, the ripping of roofs. They really like the black. If you have a black flat roof, you've probably got some vultures there or have had them in the past. Shingles, they like the weather stripping and caulking, even the shingles, they like to tear at that. And then, of course, the droppings are an issue as well. Got some other pictures here. You don't want that if you're a pilot. We do a lot of work at airports as well. And vultures are a big enough bird that they can cause a lot of problems. And then I think the next picture, there's another rooftop. Go ahead and advance it one more time, please. Yeah, there we go. We get a lot of calls from livestock producers. Vultures are very bad, especially on newborn calves. They'll sit there and wait for the mama cow to drop the calf, and they'll pounce right on it right then and there. Cause a lot of damage to livestock, and it's a pretty gruesome scene when you investigate those type of incidents. Go ahead. Here's just a graphical representation of what we all pretty much know. I was talking to one of you before the meeting. We've got all these black vultures. What's happened to the turkey vultures? But as you can see, that graph on the right, that's what the population's been doing. I grew up in the late 70s, early 80s, and then you look at where we are now, it's just not even close. And in Arkansas, the latest estimates are about 180,000 black vultures just in Arkansas. And if you advance it once, just in the Atlantic and Mississippi flyways, which is pretty much the eastern half of the U.S., we're over 4 million black vultures now. And that number has just really shot up. Go ahead. I don't have a whole lot of just words on my presentation, but the biggest thing you've got to worry about with vultures or any type of migratory bird is the Migratory Bird Treaty Act. That pretty much says, I'll boil it down, most of that wording, to you can't lethally do anything to a bird, to a nest, to an egg without a permit through the Fish and Wildlife Service. Pretty much every bird species is protected, whether it really migrates or not, except for pigeons and starlings and house sparrows. But to do any lethal removal of the birds that nest or eggs, you really need a permit. There is a fee for that, It's $50 for the, for a business, $100 for a business, it's $50 for a homeowner, or a local, state, federal government, it's free of charge. That's issued through the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. They don't like to issue those unless you've exhausted all the other avenues, such as non-lethal methods, which we'll talk a little bit more in this presentation. But I did want to note that just to harass them, to run them off, to scare them, you don't need any kind of permit from the federal side or from the state side. So some of the ways you deal with vultures, these are some habitat modifications. The upper left is a motion-activated sprinkler system. It works pretty well, but those things get fairly expensive and hard to do, especially in the Ozarks in the wintertime. Things freeze and then things go bad. That upper right, that's just a rotating rail. So that's just a piece of pipe that spins. So if a bird tries to sit on it, it spins and they can't get a good place to sit. The bottom two pictures, obviously the one on the left, the birds are here for a reason. Yeah, you've got nice mountains that make for some great thermals for the birds to fly, but you know what, they've got birds down in the flatland too. So there's a reason they're here, and it's usually food. Any type of dumpsters, you want to make sure those are closed. They even get dog food, cat food that's left out, obviously roadkill, that kind of stuff. They're cleaning up. That's what they're kind of meant to do, is be a garbage disposal, and they're good at that. On the right, that's just a dead tree. They really prefer dead trees. That's not the only place they'll roost and cause a mess, but they really like dead trees. So we recommend removing dead trees quite a bit, especially to the folks that are livestock producers. You've got a big pasture with one big dead tree in the middle of it that the vultures like to hang out. It's not providing any shade for the livestock. It makes good sense to go ahead and cut that down. Next slide, please. Harassment. Upper left there, those are what we call pyrotechnics. Those are just fancy fireworks, bottle rockets really, that's all they are. You've got that little starter pistol at the bottom that shoots the blanks, and then the pyrotechnics are those red and yellow things that go in the middle or in the end. And just like a bottle rocket, they'll go out and whistle, or they'll go out and make a large bang, something like that. Harassment is very effective. It's kind of disruptive. To downtown Eureka Springs, that might not be the best option, but it does work very well if you have the time and effort to put into it. We recommend at least 4 or 5 consecutive nights of doing that. It doesn't need to go on at night. After it's dark, the birds are there. You're not going to move them anymore. But if you can be there in the evening when the birds start increasing in numbers, coming back to roost for the night, and be there until dark, it works very well. Or if they're on your business or house or whatever in the middle of the day, then you can even do that there then, excuse me. But that can be pretty disruptive in an urban environment. That at the bottom, that's what we call a propane cannon. It just makes a loud bang every so often. It runs off propane. So those are good to use in areas where you don't have enough personnel to be effective with the harassment. They'll run off of one propane tank for weeks on end, but it is a loud bang. But if you don't have enough folks to do it, with the pyrotechnics, with the bottle rockets, with air horns, with all that good stuff, propane cannons can be pretty effective in those situations too. Next slide, please. Another option that we use probably the most, because it's really the cheapest and less labor intensive, are what we call effigies. You take a bird, hang it upside down, and we don't know really why it works, but it does work. A lot of the folks back in the day used to use them for crows in their garden or in their crops or whatever, upside down crows. Well, here 15, 20 years ago, they started doing that with vultures and found that it works very well as well. And there's really kind of 3 different types of effigies. There's the completely fake effigy, which is there on the left, and you can buy those a lot of places. You can buy anything on the internet, you know. The other one is kind of a hybrid between a fake but has some real bird components. So that one on the right is a dog training decoy, and then with some actual vulture wings attached to it to make it look a little bit more realistic. You can hit the next slide, please. That's kind of an up-close version of it. And then the next slide, I think, is, so if I was going to do it in town, these are the kinds of signs that I would put up. This one was at a boat ramp. Company that owned the boat ramp, maintained the boat ramp. You know, we hung some effigies there. That's going to attract some attention. People are going to think a bird is caught in fishing line or who knows what. But to cut down on the calls and do a little outreach, they put up these signs. They gave a website if you want to read more about it. Just explain, these birds are here for a reason. This is why we're doing it. Please don't disturb or touch them at all. But that, when you hang an effigy, you want it up where it can be seen for the, you know, hopefully 360 degrees around it. You want it up where the birds can see it. You know, you don't want to hang it just next to a building or in the middle of a tree. You might put it out towards the edge of the tree where the birds can see it. And we're pretty low tech with that. We use a slingshot or a fishing pole or a rope on a hammer just to throw it over a limb or a power pole, whatever, you name it. That's how we get it up there, because they don't need to be up there year-round, just when the birds are there, because these don't last forever. So if the birds are gone, we take them down, put them away, the birds show back up, we hang them back up. Next slide, please. And then last, and we don't recommend this very often and probably not in this situation, but you can lethally remove vultures with a permit from the Fish and Wildlife Service. In my agency, we don't issue the permit, but we'll help you get it. We help a lot of, like I said, livestock producers, whatever, that can get it. But we have a website over there on the top right, step by step, the process you have to go through to get it. You have to prove that you, one, experienced damage, two, that you've tried, you know, all the non-lethal methods available out there, and then the Fish and Wildlife Service, generally issues a limited number of take that you can take, generally with a shotgun. That on the upper left, that's a trap. That's for the most severe instances where you're having, you know, power failures at a power plant or something where there's so many birds, they're causing outages. Vultures are such a problem in Arkansas that we work with the Arkansas Farm Bureau on expediting the depredation permit for livestock producers. It doesn't cover property damage, but if you're a livestock producer, you can work with the Arkansas Farm Bureau to get a permit free of charge, and usually within 2 days, instead of paying the $100 for a business and waiting for Fish and Wildlife Service to issue that permit. But it's been pretty successful, and most of the time folks want a permit and don't even really use it, but it's a nice resource to have to save you some money and save you some time. Next slide, please. Then I'll be short and quick. So we've got a website that has a whole bunch of resources on it: how to build an effigy, how to harass, all kinds of life history traits, all that good stuff. If you just Google wildlife services and vultures, that's what pops up the first hit. I do have some handouts here if you want some more information. It just goes into more detail of what I've explained to you tonight. But that's pretty much it. Just wanted to answer any questions. I appreciate the tour around town earlier. I appreciate the venue. I hope you guys realize you got a nice, unique venue here to have your city council meetings. I've been to a lot of city council meetings, and this is by far the nicest. Absolutely. Yes. Yes. I did. And, you know, we lived forever with turkey vultures, and they're a little more wary of human activity. The black vulture is more bold. That, you know, they'll come in and eat out of your dumpster and eat out of your dog food bowl. Yeah. So like I said, 15, 20 years ago, I get a call. I'm at the boat ramp and I come back and the vultures have destroyed my truck. And what do I do? And I really thought it was a buddy trying to pull a prank on me. I just talked to a power company on Friday that had to replace a roof because of black vultures, $400,000.
What do they like? Rubber?
They like the rubber. It could be the caulking around a vent pipe. It could be around a door. We get a lot of calls from boat owners that they'll leave their boat at the dock, come back next week, and the seats are just completely destroyed. So they really like, I think it's the resistance. They're like ripping, this is me anthropomorphizing vultures. They like to pull the flesh, that's their normal, pulling on a dead animal, and then that caulking, that black rubber, whatever, that's the best I could figure, because that can't be good to eat on you. Yeah. Yeah.
The handouts that you have, if you could leave how many handouts do you have up there?
I think I brought about 10. I've got one that's just goes into greater detail of what all I talked about, and one on how to make an effigy, if you guys wanted to put those up.
How do you make an effigy with real vulture feathers if you can't kill a vulture?
So we could help with that. So we have some birds that we keep in a freezer at our office from, they might come from a wildlife rehabilitator that tried to rehabilitate and the bird didn't make it. So we'll take those and we'll use those parts to just in those
Roadkill.
Roadkill, that kind of stuff. Because you still technically need a permit to possess that, since it's got real bird parts on it. So what we do is we'll provide the effigy. Here's a copy of our permit, because we have a permit. So in case somebody, questions you, you can provide a permit. This is all legal.
Would those be available to property owners, like downtown, some of the major property owners that are having issues where the vultures are roosting? And
Yes. And then there's also, like I said, plans here. So if you just wanted, like a horse stall mat, that 1/2 inch or 3/4 inch black rubber, this handout here goes and you can cut them out. I've got several at my office. So for $40, you can make your own effigy, hang it up, take it down when the birds are gone, hang it back up when the birds show up. And that solves a lot of the problems. It actually does.
seemed like we tried effigies once before, and it wasn't, and maybe it was what we were using that wasn't very successful, but I think the vultures realized they wasn't real or something, I don't know.
Yeah, so, there's really 3 kinds of effigies. There's the completely fake that has no real bird parts. There's the hybrid that I showed you, and then a lot of times we'll actually use a real bird.
Yeah.
Whole bird. The problem, those seem to work the best, but they don't last near as long, because it's a real bird out in the weather. They deteriorate a little faster than black rubber that you get, from Tractor Supply or wherever. Those things last forever. So maybe a combination of those, have the real birds in your high priority areas, have the fake ones that are, readily available in your, that valley you showed me this afternoon, something like that, yeah. And you also have to think about public perception too. You might not want a real bird hanging in downtown, you know what I mean? But up on a roof where nobody can see them, I've used them at malls, on billboards along the interstate, that you can place them in a way that kind of cuts down on, advertising it. You want the birds to see it for sure. That's got to be number one. But and you might have to do some outreach like that sign. If you just can't put them where nobody will see them, you might have to do some outreach. There's a reason there's a bird hanging up there.
And I guess you would be available to come up and help us locate good spots for them in places like that.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Be happy to.
I know this time of the year, as we noticed, it looks like a lot of them may be migrating out, although I think we'll still have a certain amount that still may roost here all year round.
Which species stays?
So May be going, Mr. McClung?
What is their migrational pattern?
Ask what species stays.
It's hard to say. Vultures are a lot like Canada geese. Yeah, they migrate. They usually don't go any farther than they have to. So I would say, yeah, some birds are leaving, but it's also breeding season coming up for vultures as well. So if you're seeing a dip in the number of birds in town, it's probably because most of them are going out making more birds.
Great.
Yeah.
I've caught them nesting down by Black Bass Lake.
Does
Ms.
one,
Mark, do you have a comment?
Huh?
Do you have a comment?
I said, I've caught some of them nesting down at Black Bass Lake, underneath the bluffs there.
Yep.
which ones migrate farther or are more seasonal?
I don't know if there's a huge difference. I guess if I'm on the spot, which I am, standing in front of you on camera and a microphone, I guess I'd probably say turkey vultures for sure. Yeah,
Leave?
That would be my guess.
would be more migratory,
Yeah.
more apt to migrate. In fact, we have a research center in Gainesville, Florida, that is studying all this type of stuff. There's several states, Arkansas included, myself included, that have thrown money into the pot to hire somebody to answer all these questions. You know, is there timing? When do we need to start doing control work or harassment, seasonal patterns, migratory patterns? What methods work best? So we've got these three types of effigies. Yeah, I think the real bird works better than the fake one, but do we have evidence of that? You know, mine's all anecdotal. So we actually have a lady out of Gainesville, Florida, and that's her whole job, is to study vultures for us. You know. All right, thank you. Can I just leave the handouts here, or?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay.
Yeah, I appreciate it very much,
I'd
Herbert.
be happy to work with you.
I have one more question. Do you ever have any real success at getting rid of them?
Oh, absolutely.
Really?
Absolutely. These power companies, when you have a $400,000 roof replacement, they want you to fix it right then and there. And yes, we've been very successful in a lot of cases.
Without just killing them?
Right, right. And these livestock producers, just putting up an effigy in their pasture completely cures their problem. You know, each situation is different. This one's unique, being right in town. Most of our facilities, like I said, that we work are cattle ranchers or power companies or industrial sites where, you know, you don't have quite as many folks interested in what you're doing. So each situation is different. So one effigy might work for this guy that's raising cattle, but if I'm working at a power plant, I might have to put up 10 effigies, you know, and do the harassment. So that's what we can do as well, is we can contract with the power company or the industrial side or whatever and actually help them harass the birds in the evening. So it might be a combination of these methods.
Well, I challenge you to help us. I challenge you to get rid of them in this town, because you'd be the Pied Piper of buzzards, you know, if you could do it, because they've been here for a long time.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Absolutely. But no, be happy to work with y'all, come up with a plan, and see what we can do for you. Absolutely.
How long does an average buzzard live?
Long time. I think the record is 25 years in the wild.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Longer than our dogs.
Yeah. Well, maybe that's what we should have for pets.
No, you don't.
No, I'm teasing.
Bad idea. Think about what they eat.
I know.
They don't smell very good.
I had one come through the windshield of my Jeep once, and they don't smell good at all.
Anybody else have any questions, comments?
Yes. I'm actually a pilot myself and have tried, and about the third straight time they tried to take out my drone, I quit. Yeah, so I think there's a place for it. So if you're doing, you know, the harassment using the pyrotechnics and the drone at the same time, yes, but when I was trying it, it was just the drone, and they attacked it.
Robert, thank you very much. We appreciate you coming up and helping us out. And Kim will probably grab your handouts, and she can make sure the council gets the handouts there, and make sure the public needs, if we need any more, we can make copies of them.
Yeah. And I'll stick around for a little while.
All
In case
right.
anybody's got any questions.
All right.
Thanks a lot.
All right, that brings us up to, we have deferring Pedegro motorized bike franchise until further notice. Is that going to be taken off the agenda?
I believe she may be ready next time.
Okay. Then that's item number 3, is get a motion for the 2021 fourth quarter financials.
Motion to discuss?
Seconded.
All right, the motion
Thank you, Harry.
Yeah.
and discussion.
Four of the 5 elements for the year-end 2021 are here. The check register for the entire year, the receipts, payroll, and in the December report, you saw the long-term liabilities. The bank balances are being worked on, so they'll be ready soon. That's it.
All right, any questions? All right, hearing none, we'll continue on into unfinished business with an update on German Alley and Lower Mountain Street.
Thought we were going to do mask mandates.
Oh, I'm sorry, you're right. Thank you. I had it down and skipped right over it.
Okay. Motion to discuss.
Second.
All right.
The CDC has recommended that we don't have to wear a mask indoors, especially if we're vaccinated. So I just thought, people have asked me, I would bring it up if we wanted to continue in our public buildings.
All right, discussion? Anyone?
Okay, Terry?
Mr. McClung?
What is our current expiration
Let me see.
of the mask mandate that you have in place, or is it
April 11th.
April 11th?
Oh, we're a little over a month away.
I'd like to make a motion that we go ahead and close it out.
I'll second that.
Okay, Mr. McClung made a motion, and seconded by Ms. Green, to go ahead and eliminate the mask mandate. Any further discussion?
If we're not going to adhere to it, we might as well eliminate it, I guess.
All right. Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, so moved.
Okay.
All right, our next item now then will come up to the update on German Alley, Lower Mountain Street. Motion to discuss.
So,
Second.
All right. I met with the department heads on the German Alley, and of course, this was prior to our ice storm. And I think they were all in agreement. They didn't have a problem with going ahead and making the lower German Alley one-way going up. They did have a lot of issues with doing anything with Lower Mountain Street. But they also talked about, and we're going to be looking at signage and putting up signage around town on both German Alley, Mountain Street, Lower Mountain Street in particular, about truck traffic and directions, no truck traffic and things like that. Also, Mr. Otcont gave me an email address for Google. Contacted them with no luck yet as to what was going to happen. And Mr. Ott said that he had had success after a while with Pine Street. Now, from what I've heard, we haven't had much success with getting them to change or to note things around town. But that remains to be seen. We'll continue on with with the Google Maps and see. So, otherwise, that's the update at this point. Ms. Meyer?
Well, Mr. Mayor, I agree with the property owners there. I think that maybe a gate that the police force and the fire department has at the top of, right there at where Inman and German Alley intersect, so that people can come down, go into Inman, go into Bart's house, but they can't go all the way down to Cliff. Leaving it open below, if a fire comes, a fireman can come up that little thing, or an ambulance or whatever, but I honestly think that's the safest way, considering the new traffic that we have. I mean, even when it wasn't slippery, there were still people going down there, and I don't think, because it's a one-way sign, that they're going to stop from going down there.
Anybody else? Ms. Green?
Can you talk to, I know you have department heads tomorrow, can you talk to them about Harry's idea or somehow closing it? I mean, I think that might be more of an answer.
I'm not sure it really is, because you're going to still have, you can't, as I said the last time, you can't fix stupid.
All right.
People are still going to travel one way or the other. But I will ask them about closing the lower part of German Alley and see what they say on there. So, any further discussion?
No.
All right, we'll continue on then. Shelter for the animals up at the police department. Ms. Green, motion to discuss?
Motion to discuss.
Second?
Ms. Green?
Pass some things out. Would you pass them out? This was one of the photos that I received, and I spoke with Jimmy, and I haven't spoken with Brian yet, which I will, and I've spoken with Cole at the Humane Society. These crates, at first I was pretty ballistic, but they are insulated. They're actually, to me, too small, but the incident with these two dogs, which I did research, and I couldn't really come up with much of anything in any cities other than if they're police property, which these dogs were. I guess they came when they arrested the guy. They stay until they are claimed by the owner. And there was a case in Pulaski County where they had raided a hoarders, and they had the animals for like almost 2 years. So that's kind of, they cannot, but what they're going to do is they're going to write up something, an agreement. The chief, I guess Cole talked with them, to, in inclement weather, they're going to, the Humane Society will take the animals and shelter them. But I also think Jimmy has done the best that he can, and I think these photos, frozen water, tiny little crates, we can do better. We are a town that loves our animals. We're rated the second most friendliest small town for animals. 70% of my guests bring their dogs. That's how much. And I think we can spring for some insulated dog houses. I researched that. Good ones start at $150 to $350. So I would like to make a motion that we allocate enough money to let Jimmy buy a couple of really nice, bigger, insulated dog houses.
How much is enough money?
How about $700?
All right. Mr. McClung?
We didn't get a second.
No, we didn't get a second on that.
I'll second.
All right, Mr. McClung?
Is that something you can just do on your own, or is that something that we have to approve?
That should come out of the police department budget, should.
I'm sure we can probably find the money in the police department. If that's, what the council wants to do, I'll go ahead and we can go ahead and take care of it, but
Mr. Mayor?
it would come out of the police department's budget anyway.
Mr. Mayor?
So, yes, sir.
Again, if we got everyone in town to buy a dog license for their little doggy, we'd have more than enough money to have a decent shelter that the taxpayers are already paying for, and it would also pay for Jimmy. We've got more dogs than people, so we really need to enforce that dog license.
Harry, I'm one of the few people in town that has a dog license.
All right. Got a motion and a second.
Mr. Mayor, may I?
Yes, sir, Mr. McClung, I'm sorry.
How many dogs did they have at one time as a rule on an average out there at the police department? 1, 2?
One to two is all I've ever really seen. I suppose they could have more.
So you need $300 for 2, if the dog houses are 150
No, they're up
bucks a
to,
piece?
they're up to $350. I mean, I'd let Jimmy,
Whether they got central heat and air or what?
no, they're just nicer houses. They'll last longer.
Well, that just sounds pretty exorbitant to me, $350 for a dog house.
Well, I said up to. Let Jimmy decide.
Well, I mean, I'm all about the pets, you know, I think the pets need to be cared for, and but, you know, it just, that sounds pretty posh.
Well, let me look into it, Mr. McClung, and see what we can do, and we'll get some dog houses up there. So I think what Ms. Green's asking for is a maximum of $700. I understand what you're saying, so it sounds rather expensive to me too, so we'll see if we can find something less. Hopefully we won't have any more weather. If the council wants, I can always come back and
Yeah.
report back to you on this. Or I can go ahead and take action.
Okay.
It's up to the council.
Do we want to vote on it?
Well, we got a motion and a second right now, so we'll go ahead and vote. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed?
No,
All right. I'll report back and let you know what I find out next
What's
week.
Bill's vote?
What's,
Mr. Ott, did you vote?
I didn't hear what the motion was, sir.
To spend up to $700 to buy 2 insulated dog houses for the impound animals at the police department.
And that would be a maximum amount?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'll vote to keep the maximum in there.
All right, it's still 3-1.
okay.
Yep. All right, thank you, Mr. Ott. All right, I'll let you know what happens on this and get back to you. All right, our next item is, unless there's something else, get a motion to discuss the ordinance on the clerk's salary.
Motion to discuss the, oops, go ahead, Harry. Go ahead.
Okay, Mr. Meyer made a motion.
I'll second.
All right, Ms. Green, second. He's going to lead off on this.
Okay. When I brought this up, I didn't have the numbers in front of me, but I brought it up on basically one of the problems we have in this town is being able to afford to live here and salaries. And I think for the amount of tourism that we have here, the amount of people, we're like a huge city, and it's on weekdays now. Our clerk has a lot of work to do, and she's ready to retire, and if we're going to get a qualified and a good person to take over, well, nobody's going to run for $30,000. We need to attract a better sense. And looking through the numbers here, the average for the city clerk in the small things was 33,977 up to 40,000. In the larger cities, it was 37, it was the average. Still, they don't have the kind of issues that we have here, the licenses, the businesses. We run on sales tax, and the sales tax comes from basically Ann's job and keeping track of it. I just think that we are, as a city, we have really come into a new thing. The tax assessors are out, our property taxes are going to go up, and people want amenities, and they want good service. And I think we've talked about our public works, and that's kind of where we're going to maybe hopefully go next, is where we can pay and keep good employees, because they come and they leave. So I still like the ordinance that Tim wrote up to increase the salary for the city clerk to $48,000.
All right, any other comments? Mr. Meyer?
It is a full-time job. Somebody cannot take it as a second job. I don't think they go waitressing or bartending at night. I don't think that would work out too good. It's a full-time job. It needs to be a full-time pay. And hopefully we can get some qualified people to run for the position so that we don't get lost after Ann leaves.
Ms. Green?
And that does not include benefits, does it?
Not for any elected officials.
Okay, so again, benefits are probably $5,000 a year for insurance and other things, so the $48,000 would cover that for a person.
I need to correct a statement. There is accidental death and dismemberment.
Yeah, I know.
I misspoke.
Okay. Well, nobody's taken a pot shot at you lately?
Not yet.
All right.
Okay, I'm going to make a motion that we assign the ordinance a number and read it for its first reading.
I'll second that.
Discussion? All right. Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, 4-0.
The ordinance number will be 2318.
Pardon me?
2318.
Thank you.
An ordinance amending the Eureka Springs Municipal Code establishing the salary, pardon? An ordinance amending Section E of Chapter 2.28.02 of the Eureka Springs Municipal Code, establishing the salary for the city clerk treasurer for the city of Eureka Springs. Whereas, in order to best serve the citizens of the city of Eureka Springs, the responsibilities of the city clerk treasurer have been defined by Arkansas State Code 1443-506 and the Eureka Springs Municipal Code, Chapter 2.28.02. And whereas Section E of Chapter 2.28.02 of the Eureka Springs Municipal Code establishes the city clerk treasurer's salary at $30,500 per annum. Now therefore, the City Council of the City of Eureka Springs, Arkansas hereby finds, Section 1, that Section E of Chapter 2.28.02 of the Eureka Springs Municipal Code, setting the city clerk treasurer's salary, shall be amended to $48,000 per annum as of 30 days from the passage of this ordinance. That provisions of this ordinance are hereby declared to be separable, and if any provision shall for any reason be held illegal or invalid, such holding shall not affect the validity of the remainder of this ordinance. Section 3, all ordinances and resolutions or parts thereof in conflict herewith are hereby repealed to the extent of such conflict.
Okay, get a motion for approval on the first reading.
I'll make a motion that we approve ordinance 2318 on its first reading.
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 All right, 4-0. Okay. All right. That brings us up to our second item, or our fourth item, I guess, unfinished business, is ordinance raising the mayor's salary.
I'll make a motion that we discuss raising the mayor's salary.
Second.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Myers?
I was looking at these salaries on the list here, and a good friend of mine is the mayor of Yellville. He's getting more money than you are, Mr. Mayor. It ain't much, it's a couple $1,000s, but Yellville has a volunteer fire department, has 5 guys working at Public Works. They subcontract their police work with the county, so they don't have police. It's a much easier job to administrate than the job here. And that's why comparing Eureka Springs to cities of the same size is very misleading. You know, Yellville's got $1 million budget and we've got a $10 million budget. So, and also, his bosses, he's got a full-time job, but they give him all the time he needs to work for the city because it's a little phone company that just right there. And so he gets to put a lot of effort into the city there. I don't know. I think we need to give the mayor a raise.
All right, further discussion, Ms. Green?
Well, I said a lot in the last thing, but I agree, and after looking at these numbers, you are probably, by statewide, woefully underpaid. And I even think maybe we should raise it a little bit more. I think that Butch has demonstrated that it's a full-time job, and it's not an easy job. This is not a town like Harry was discussing. This isn't a normal town. You know, well, in more ways than one. But on any given weekend, we can have 25,000 people here. And we ask a lot of our elected officials, and I think our mayor, I would like to raise it up to 40,000, but I may get in trouble for that, so. Can we do that, Tim, with this ordinance that you left us?
Just needs to be part of the ordinance, part of the motion.
Okay. Well, I'm going to make a motion that we assign the ordinance a number with the amended $40,000 raise and read it for its first reading.
Is there a second? Mr. McClung? Well, I need a second before we can discuss.
Right.
That's fine, I'll second.
Second.
All right, I think Mr. McClung seconded, I'm not sure.
It doesn't matter.
Yes.
Second, but it-
Okay. Did you have a
regardless,
question?
It's, yeah, just, I want to remember that, you know, this, the first reading.
I'm sorry, go ahead. A little
This
bit.
is the first reading, and it's subject to review each time that we
Correct.
bring it up, so that figure can be adjusted down the road if that's what we decide to do, so, that's all.
Okay. Any further discussion?
No?
Okay. All in favor of the ordinance with the amendment of raising as submitted with the exception of going from $36,000 to $40,000? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 4-0. Any,
Ready?
Yeah.
This ordinance number will be 2319. An ordinance amending the Eureka Springs Municipal Code establishing the salary for the mayor of the city of Eureka Springs. Whereas, in order to best serve the citizens of the city of Eureka Springs, the responsibilities of the mayor have been defined by Arkansas State Code and the Eureka Springs Municipal Code. And whereas the current Eureka Springs Municipal Code, Section 2.24.04, establishing the mayor's salary, established the mayor's salary at $18,000 per annum. Now therefore, the City Council of the City of Eureka Springs hereby finds Section 1, that the Eureka Springs, Arkansas Municipal Code setting the mayor's salary shall be amended to $40,000 per annum as of 30 days from the passage of this ordinance. Section 2, that provisions of this ordinance are hereby declared to be separable, and if any provision shall for any reason be held illegal or invalid, such holding shall not affect the validity of the remainder of this ordinance. Section 3, all ordinances and resolutions or parts thereof in conflict herewith are hereby repealed to the extent of such conflict.
I'll make a motion that we approve ordinance 2319 on its first reading.
Say it.
Okay, Ms. Green made the motion, Mr. Myers second to approve ordinance 2319 on its first reading. Any further discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 All right, so moved. All right, that brings us up to agenda setting.
I would like to put the discussion, we kind of dropped the ball on the food trucks. I'd like to get the food trucks back on the
Gotcha.
agenda.
Okay, anybody else?
No.
All right, council comments. Mr. Ott, you're driving. I'm going to,
I just want to say thank you for letting me be a part, even though the video looks like it's a hostage tape. I was glad I could be part of the meeting tonight. Sorry I couldn't be there.
well, we're glad you're here to make the quorum. Thank you, sir, for making the
Yes,
effort.
sir.
All right, Ms. Green?
No comments.
Mr. Myers?
I don't think anybody got hurt during the ice, did they? There've been some close calls, but I think, I don't remember hearing anybody getting hurt, and that's all to be thankful for.
Maybe their pride if they went.
Well, I know one person who broke their wrist, but, you know, she was in some pain. So,
Ouch.
yeah. Anyway, unfortunate. Mr. McClung?
Yeah, I was downtown today, and I had the need to stop in and use the restroom down here in the building here out on the street, sidewalk. And it was clean, but it's in very poor condition. And I think they need to be addressed. So if this one is, the Pendergrass Corner probably is too. And so I think they really need to be, you know, it's time for a makeover, or at least gone in and the graffiti removed and cleaned up and get everything working right, and doors closing and, you know, all that. That's in front of the public
Sure.
every day.
Well, that's something I think we can go ahead and do. You know, I have, well, because of our last several years of my concern with the budget, we've not spent a lot of money extraneously. Not saying that the bathrooms are extraneous, but we did go in, and council is probably not aware of this, but the floor was falling into the bathrooms downstairs. And we did go in and completely repaired those and fixed it up. But I think it is time for us to relook at those. And I know that's a comment also on Pendergrass Corner. Last year before last, we had to go in and completely redo doors in the interiors, paint and remodel, heating, because of vandalism in through there.
That is the nature of the beach, you're right, and it's, but
it-
unfortunately, that because of that, they need a more constant attention.
I agree, and I
That's
think
the way-
especially the ones downstairs in the auditorium are due for a good makeover. And I'd certainly put that on our list of things to do, because, you know, we do have some money, I think, where I can feel comfortable about spending now some on
Yeah, and
aesthetics.
I'm not talking the ones downstairs here, I'm talking about.
No, that's what I'm
On the
talking
street.
about, going off
Outside
of
on the
Main
street,
Street. Yeah, and Pendergrass Corner.
Yes.
So, yeah. All right.
Thank you.
I didn't mean to get into a discussion, but I'll be glad to put that on my list of things
Thank
to
you.
look at.
I think we added some to the budget for that, didn't we?
And I know Nick was talking about that also, so, you know, we do have some issues there. I don't have any comments either. I want to thank Public Works for This last several days, the courthouse was closed Wednesday and Thursday because of the ice. We had people still came in on Friday late, and ice was still out. Public Works did a good job. I mean, I don't think a lot of people realize we have 300 miles of streets. That doesn't sound like much, but when you only have 2 trucks that operate, and what we're trying to do around here, they do a pretty good job of what we have to deal with, and especially with the ice on through there. So I want to thank them very much for all their work going through there. And again, it looked like I was amazed at our visitors this weekend, Saturday and Sunday. The parking lots were getting full, so they're still coming. So anyway, that's all I have, and get a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, William. Bye.